Today, we're diving into a new global standard that's designed to fight one of the biggest threats facing pretty much any organization out there: fraud.
So, let's just start with a number that's, well, it's almost impossible to ignore. $4.7 trillion. That is the staggering amount that fraud drains from the global economy every single year. I mean, to put that into perspective, that's almost 7% of the annual revenue of organizations worldwide.
And it's no surprise that in our super digital world, the problem is only getting worse. Just look at the FBI's recent internet crime report. It shows that losses from things like phishing, extortion, and data breaches have soared past $16 billion. It just goes to show how sophisticated and, frankly, how widespread this threat has really become.
So, to fight back against this escalating threat, the world really needed a unified strategy. And that's what led to this massive global consultation, a survey across 22 countries which basically confirmed what everyone suspected. We need a standardized approach. And the result? A brand new international standard.
Okay, so let's get into it. What is ISO 3703? Well, it provides a framework for what's called a Fraud Control Management System, or FCMS. Think of it as a playbook. It's a set of best practice guidelines for any organization to build, implement, and maintain a really robust defense against all kinds of fraud risks.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is for giant banks and multinational corporations, right? But that's what's so cool about it. Nope. Its design is totally universal. The framework is flexible enough for any organization, no matter the size or the sector. We're talking everyone from huge global companies to small nonprofits, and it's invaluable for everyone from the board members all the way down to the compliance teams on the ground.
So, how does this standard actually help an organization build up its defenses? Well, it gives you a really clear, structured approach to manage the entire life cycle of fraud risk.
The whole framework is built on this really smart 4-pillar model that basically creates a continuous loop. You start with prevention because obviously stopping fraud before it even happens is the ultimate goal. But look, no defense is perfect, so detection is critical for catching any funny business early. Then, when something is found, you need an effective response to contain the damage. And this is key. Continual improvement closes that loop, using what you've learned to make your prevention and detection even stronger for next time.
And this is absolutely crucial. This isn't just about writing a bunch of rules and sticking them in a binder somewhere. For this to actually work, it needs a deep commitment from the top, from leadership. It requires regular, specific fraud risk assessments, super clear procedures, and ongoing training. It also relies on practical tools like confidential whistleblower channels and continuous audits to make sure the system is actually doing its job.
Now here's another really smart thing about this standard. It's not some lone wolf. It's been designed with this harmonized structure, which means it can plug seamlessly into a much bigger ecosystem of organizational integrity.
It works hand in hand with its famous cousin, ISO 37001, for anti-bribery. But here's the key difference. While 37001 is laser-focused on bribery, this new standard, 37003, tackles a much broader range of risks. Everything from internal employees misusing assets to external fraudulent reporting. They address different, but totally related, threats.
So, the bottom line is, when you use these standards together, you create this powerful, comprehensive shield against both corruption and misconduct. It allows an organization to build a much stronger culture of trust and transparency.
And it doesn't stop with anti-bribery. It connects with other key management systems too. It reinforces compliance frameworks. It aligns with your overall risk management, and, this is a big one, since so much fraud is tech-enabled, it complements cybersecurity controls from ISO 27701.
Okay, so this all sounds great on paper, right? But what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's check out an organization that's already started to put these ideas into practice.
We're going to look at the Mohammed bin Rashid housing establishment over in Dubai. They've explicitly built their anti-fraud policy to align with ISO 37003. Their goal? To protect public funds and, just as importantly, to strengthen trust with their community.
And if you look at their policy, it's like a perfect reflection of the standard's core principles. They've built it on 4 key pillars: a firm, zero-tolerance stance on fraud, a belief that fraud control is everyone's job, a solid commitment to protecting whistleblowers, and a guarantee that any investigations will be independent and fair. So this really brings us to the ultimate takeaway. When you boil it all down, what's the fundamental shift in thinking that this new global standard is trying to inspire? And here it is. The most crucial point is this.
This standard is not just about catching fraud after it happens. It's about fundamentally changing an organization's entire posture. The goal is to shift the mindset away from just reacting to incidents and toward achieving a state of proactive fraud resilience.
In other words, this framework is so much more than just a defense mechanism. It's designed to be both a strategic asset and a moral compass. It's about transforming the culture so that integrity becomes a core competitive advantage that builds real long-term trust with everyone involved.
Which leaves us with a final thought. In an era where threats are evolving literally every single day, waiting for a fraud incident to happen before you come up with a strategy, well, that's just not an option anymore. So the real question is the organization you're a part of ready to make that shift and get proactive?